Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Sechuayo, a.k.a. Coach Bird, and I'm the host of the BYRDCAGE Show, Cousin Tracey.
Sup?
We are back at it, you know what I'm saying? Episode 108, you know what I mean? How's your weekend going so far?
Listen, for those that don't know, it was the first week of school, and the heat was heating.
It was fire. It was fire and brimstone out there.
The devil said,
I'm here.
I want to learn too. School is in session. When I tell you drained wasn't the word for me on Friday.
What time did you go to bed last night?
4:30.
I said last night.
4:30. I woke up at 9 a.m. Listen, let me tell you something. Me and heat is too. But you know it's crazy because when you go to the Caribbean and you in the heat, you'll lay out all day.
It's different type of heat, I think.
It's got a little breeze with it.
Yeah, something
no,
different.
It's where you want to be.
Yeah, well, that's it. Right.
Where I was may not. This week may not have been where I wanted to be.
That heat on them bricks is different.
Yeah.
Well, you know the heat in the hood is different. Concrete jungle. This right here. Outside of that, you know, for those parents, welcome back.
Welcome back. School is back in session.
For year 30 for Coach Bird.
Year 30 for me. You know what I'm saying?
30. Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Well, Tracy said it best, you know what I'm saying? Start of a new school year. You know what I'm saying? I know Cows, they've been in school for like a month now, or something like that, in that Arizona. Yeah. But in this area, you know what I'm saying, we're just kind of kicking things off. And that leads me right into our guests, our special guest that we have sitting on the couch in the cage today on episode 108. Some of you know him, some of you don't know him. For those that don't know him, you're going to get to know him. And even for those that do know him, you're going to get to know some more about him, some things that you might not have known about him. You know what I'm saying? In the cage today, we got my man, Michael Jefferson, a.k.a. Mike J. You know what I'm saying? You're going to hear us refer to him as Mike J, as a lot of you refer to him as well. Mike, why don't you just say what's up to the people real quick?
What's going on, everybody?
But for most of you guys, you may have seen him like he does cameos and people's pictures from home team, and don't nobody never know who the heck he is. Who the hell is that? Where the fuck? But he in a hometown picture, so you know he was basically adopted by the downtown crew.
I only ever saw him as an adult. I don't ever recall any childhood or teenage.
No, just all
he
all
around people we know. Where he come from?
You know what I'm saying?
Looking like a little ass buckwheat. Where he come from?
Where he come from? And one of the reasons we brought him on, especially, you know, we're talking about welcome back to school and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? He's heavy into the education field. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to get into all of that. But first, before we get started, won't you just, for those that are wondering, like, I thought he was from, wait a minute, why don't you just tell the people, you know what I mean, where you're from, and all that, with the school and all that good stuff.
So I'm from Bridgeton. You know, we call it like a country hood. You know, we had projects and they didn't look like Northgate. Okay, they didn't look like the Acres.
Right.
Look more like something in New Orleans.
Got you.
Got to 9th grade. My mom was in education also.
Okay.
And it was funny because I grew up and my mom actually worked at the same school in my hood.
Got you.
Like her and like 2 other black teachers. And so everybody always knew me like, oh, that's Mr. Jefferson's son. So I really didn't have a lot of problems either.
Right.
You know, I was an only child, single mom who was a teacher at the school.
Okay.
And she didn't want me going to Bridgeton High.
Okay.
You know, I guess she kind of, a lot of the bureaucracies were working in Bridgeton was like, I don't want you. And Bridgeton High started at 8th grade. Okay. So she really didn't want that. And I got to middle school. She met my stepdad. They got married, moved to Millville. Went to Millville High, played football at Millville, ran track in Millville. Thought I was a basketball player. I wasn't much of that, you know.
So for those that can't determine by him being engulfed on the couch, that basketball dream, he's literally like 5'2".
I had a handle. I had a handle. I could defend. So went to rowing, and rowing is really my connection here. Okay. To this area, to Camden County. Went to rowing for a couple years. When I first got there, a lot of people from rowing. We had a core group of people from North Jersey, Newark, Jersey City, Trenton. You know, even a few Christian cats.
Okay.
And then 2 years later, I don't know what happened this 1 year. All these Camden Negroes transferred in or came in like, you know, Butchie Spearman, Dave Trinidad, Bam Gorey, Buck Curtis, John Randall, the basketball player.
Yeah.
Well, Cook was already there. Tootin was already there when I got there, so I did meet Cook when I first got there. And the boy to play for Nebraska, Ramon Worthy.
Okay.
I mean, all these, this 1 year, all these Camden cats that came in at the same time. You know, I'm like, look, man, we own this place before y'all got here, man. Y'all ain't just gonna come here. You know, like they've been in the food court all loud, you know, like playing spades and hollering. And I remember this one dude, the bull buck, Curtis Collins. I didn't know him. I just knew he was loud.
Right.
And he was playing spades with somebody, and at last hand he took the big joker and he smacked it on somebody's forehead and it like stuck. I said, man, let me tell you something. If we playing cards with me and he do that to me, I don't know this dude, but he better not do that to me, right? And got close with them guys, man. And next thing I know, some weekends I would come to Camden, and then graduated from school, got a job at Cooper's Point on 3rd and State. And by that time, I had already been kind of coming to Camden on the weekends and things of that nature. And I just stayed up this way and entrenched myself in the community and with the people. And honestly, man, I fell in love with it. You know, I fell in love definitely with the people.
That's definitely what's up. Now, was that the plan? Is that why you went to Rowan? What was your major at Rowan?
I was a communications major.
Okay.
I was a communications major. I had some writing classes. And I actually stayed at Rowan. I was at Rowan for a while, man. I mean, it got to the point where even Glassboro, even the black folk in Glassboro, because I did 5 years undergrad.
Okay.
Then I went straight to grad school. So it was funny because, you know, when you go to grad school, I had a grad assistantship. All of a sudden, I went from like eating in the food course. I had a little office in the student center. Everybody like, man, Mike, whose desk you sitting at? Get out of there, right? So I went to grad school and stayed and got a master's in education administration, which I really was supposed to be like a dean of students. It was supposed to be higher ed college, and I wasn't looking at traveling throughout the country and going from college to college. So that was when I went alternate route. Ended up at Cooper's Point. Cooper's Point to East Camden Middle.
Alternate route. Let's talk about that.
Alternate route. Well, you weren't an education major, and so you had to take some other courses. It's easier to do in districts that nowadays every district needs teachers. When we went back, we're talking about 2000.
But the reason why I asked you to bring that up was because our friends, including him, alternate route. That's how they got in. That's how they was trying to get black educators back into the Camden City School District was alternate route. And I believe that's the route that they're going now. Because if you look at what the other morning, first day of school, CBS, Ms. Cassell and them was on there. They talked about a young group of black males that we have at Cooper's Point now, who are paras, but one of them worked his way up into, he's a science teacher now. And a lot of them are going through Camden U because they're helping bring back the alternate route. Because they're trying to get the kids to see us. The representation matters.
Definitely.
Well, and I think a lot of people, when they first go into college and you say, become a teacher, they're like,
because y'all really don't get paid enough. Let's be real.
And so it kind of is something as you're getting closer to graduation and you're going, and then you start gravitating towards high school sports and high school age students, and then you go, I think that, but by that time you're 3 years
into another major.
Exactly, and it's too late to go back.
When you think about it, the actual starting salary for teachers isn't a lot. So a lot of kids go into college realizing that my debt at the end of this and my salary is not going to align. So that's why they don't go into education. Now the end result is something different, but that's of years of putting in hard work and all of that. You know, and I always say, especially now that I work in a school, y'all don't start out at enough. That's y'all listen, and y'all probably need weapons. I don't know.
I'm gonna tell you what's so funny is, my dad, when I was like my first few years of teaching, my dad was a foreman. He was in charge of this big factory down in Bridgeton. And my cousins would work there. I said, Dad, how much does cousin, so and so make on the forklift? He said, the union he said at least $62,000. This was like 05.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was at like 43.
Right.
Cousin B is at 62 driving a forklift.
But he working though.
Yeah.
But see, here's the thing. That's why I took the police job. I'm going to just run this back. So I'm 19, shoulder blows out, got to come home to get surgery. Kind of don't know the basketball thing, what that looks like. My dad said, well, you know what it looks like for me? $32,000 at 19 years old being a cop with no college degree. Psh, can't beat that. You start the academy. Wait, what? I didn't fill out the application. He was like, oh no, me and your Uncle Lenny did. You good? You go and take this test.
Just take the test.
Go, and that was in 91.
Do you remember something? When you said 32, it struck something. Something resonated with me. 32,000 was the barometer of, okay. I remember in like 2099, well, 99 was undergrad, you know,
right.
2001 when I got, but I remember people saying, I'm getting 30,000, like 30,000 was.
So imagine getting that
it was over 30,
but listen,
people were like, you good.
Imagine that 20 years old
in 1992.
Oh, yeah, nah, you think you a billionaire.
You
were balling.
I'm telling you, 32,092.
Yeah, nah.
That might have been 60 right now.
Right.
The equivalent of somebody 19 making 60.
Yep. That's definitely
so
facts.
I get it. You be trying to go chase the dollar bill,
right?
And then as the years go on, it's like, did I really need to put myself in debt, education wise?
Right. True.
Yeah, but that's just my story,
right?
Because all my kids in debt. They all got
well, you know,
they all in debt.
Everybody's in debt. It's being in the right debt.
Right.
You know, somebody could own 4 or 5 properties and got mortgages on them all.
Right.
He's in debt.
Right.
but if it's credit card debt and student loans, that's the wrong.
Right. Definitely. Now, what was it your mom, seeing your mom, you know what I mean, being in the educational field, and you know, or was it just, you know, like you said, after I got to college, I started kind of figuring it out? Or
my mom always said, you don't need to be a teacher.
Okay.
She said, I know your spending habits. She said, I know you like to spend money. And same thing you're saying, Tracy. My mom knew that as a male, you know, it's easier for her to be a teacher as a female. And if you have a male that, like my stepdad, made more money than her.
Got you.
But she knew me as a male and where society was going. She knew that being a teacher, you know, for me wasn't going to be enough money for the things that I like to do.
Right.
Quick sidebar, my parents, my dad's from North Philly and my mom's from Bridgeton, and they met at Hampton.
Okay.
And my father actually was, and this is in the 70s, right, the early 70s, was a drug dealer at Hampton.
Okay.
And this is like, and I say this because, you know, I hear stories and things like, my dad still tells a story that Hampton, they had University Police and then they had Hampton Town Police. And he was the first person that the town police ever came up onto campus and raided his dorm room. And he had my mom escape down the fire escape.
Oh, wow.
Wait. Are we talking your mom's husband or your...
My mom's first husband, my real father.
Your real father.
My real father.
Because I know you call your step-pop dad too,
right, my real father. And he said it was funny because at Hampton they had a dean of students for the guys and a dean of students for the girls. But the guys' dean of students was a female. And my dad said... Before the raid, she said, you know, she called him in and said, I know what you're doing. I heard what you're doing. Why don't you just go back to North Philly? He said, I'll go back to North Philly. My mama kill me. Right? I'm going to stay right here in Hampton and do what I'm doing. And so, you know, my mom didn't plan on that. But what happened? Everybody who sold drugs in those days ended up doing what? Being an addict.
Yeah,
you know they didn't know. You know when Biggie said, "Never you
right.
You know, everybody who hustled in the 70s and the 80s ended up being so. My parents actually graduated Hampton, and my dad was a functioning addict.
Most of them were.
See, we grew up thinking in the 80s, especially, you know, you thinking crackhead. You didn't realize how many functioning addicts there were. You know, my grandfather was head of the Pennsylvania State Parole Board. He literally lived in Harrisburg during the week and then came home on weekends to North Philly. So my dad got out of Hampton, when you had that type of job, you have connections.
Right.
My grandpa gave my dad a paper with a name on it and a phone number.
Okay.
He said, on Monday, call this guy. My dad calls this guy. My dad said, like 3 days later, he's got an office in City Hall looking down Broad Street.
Wow.
But meanwhile,
he getting high.
Using.
Right.
And so that went sideways.
Gotcha. Now, we like to do our research here on the BYRDCAGE Show when we have guests on. And your dad played baseball at Hampton, right?
Yeah.
That's what's up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, him and my dad's, one of my dad's closest friends was the mayor of Trenton, Doug Palmer.
Okay.
So I have a picture of them in their Hampton University baseball shirts, and Doug Palmer's like right here, who ended up being mayor of Trenton for like 15 years.
Okay, that's what's up.
And then my ignorance, there's a white guy in the picture. And I'm like, yes, a couple of white guys went to Hampton, and
especially to play baseball. You know what I'm saying?
Don't be biased.
Listen, the black schools got to get the minority
vote
too.
Yeah, definitely.
It's much larger now.
Yes,
much larger now.
Now, I know we touched on it a little bit when we were talking about the alternative route and the fact that a lot of states are trying to bring that back, to try to get some more teachers and things like that. What's your thoughts on, why do you feel there's a lack of, brown and black educators and administrators? Because, where I teach at, it's not a lot of us. But our kids look like us. You know what I'm saying?
And males, how about that?
And males as well. It's like,
being a black teacher in the inner city where there's a lot of people who look like you, and the parents that you're interacting with look and sound like you, and choosing to be a black teacher in the suburbs is totally different. You need a lot more vulnerability to go to suburbs to do it, right? You need a little more courage, because now, I tell you, we have that problem in Collingswood. Collingswood High School is 51% minority. When you got taken in Woodland also.
Right.
And you have 2 black teachers in the entire school. 2. And so when you have to, and this, Tracy, this kind of goes back to your question, why kind of people, there's a certain level of courage that you have to say, I'm going to pick up this phone and talk to Mrs. So-and-so, who's an attorney. Right. Who's the dean of, I would have to pick up the phone or have to meet with parents who were the dean of a law school.
Right. Gotcha.
And they want to argue. It's one thing for somebody arguing with you and you could argue back with them, but sometimes it can be a little intimidating.
I can see that.
But on that note, that's the reason why mid-retirement I decided to take the job as a family operation coordinator at Camden School District. Let me tell you why. The education level for most parents in Camden City is low. Most parents in Camden City don't have high school, none less college degrees.
Facts.
And I didn't have a college degree, but I advocated every day for my kids to get the quality of education they deserved. And nobody was going to give my kids less.
Right.
And the fact that I didn't have a degree would never stop me from going talking to Dr. Branch. Would never stop me from going talk. And I wanted to tell these parents, you can have that push, even though you don't have, you not having a degree don't make you less of a parent.
Right.
Your kids deserve quality.
Right.
You just need to research and figure out what the quality is, so when you go in that room, you can have your facts aligned.
But it only takes, and I've noticed this, Tracy, you're right. It only takes one time that parent spoke to somebody that belittled them or made them feel small for them to say, I'm never doing it again.
Right.
It's like the new teacher. I need to call home about you. And the first time somebody says, why the F you call? It scars that teacher, and they never call home again. Then you have parents saying, why didn't you call me? What do you mean?
Right.
You get to the end of you should have called me along.
Right.
That teacher got scarred a couple of times
so
badly that they said never again.
It kind of works both ways, right? It kind of works both ways. A hostile parent can scar a teacher. Intelligent parent, extra extremely intelligent parent can battle and scar sometimes.
Correct.
And
You're right.
It works both ways, so you kind of got to meet it in the middle. And parents get mad at me, and because I'm like, listen, don't talk to me like that.
Right.
And even some educated people, I'm like, don't talk at me. I remember what you're not gonna do is talk at me, because I'm not. What I'm not what you think I am. Let's be clear about that.
Right.
And it's the same way with hostile parents. I'm like, whoa. I didn't disrespect you. Don't disrespect me. Right. So you got it, and it goes both ways.
And Trace, that's with you also being a part of the community. Yeah. Imagine if you weren't. Like one thing with me is when I came to this city, I was at the block parties. Right. Their parents saw that. Right. So I got a lot more cooperation than the average person, because now they felt a little closer to me. They trusted me a little bit more.
And for me, I think that's why I always advocate that when we have so many young people going to college and they don't come back because we don't draw them back.
Right. Well, you get some down my way, Bridgeton, Millville, the few that we said, at least here they're coming back. This is suburban Philadelphia, no matter how you want to call it. It's suburban Philadelphia. I'm going to go and get a degree. Everybody that went to Rowan with me is Sickerville, Williamstown.
Right.
At least you're, nobody's going back. It's hard to go back. We're going to go back and walk in Cumberland Mall. Like, I didn't get
Cumberland Mall.
And God bless it. I got good, almost like surrogate family meets Todd. She went back. She's a judge. And my boy, John Fuqua, who's like, and I introduced him to John Royale. Okay. He's like Bridgeton's John Royale. He went to William Patterson and went back home and is doing Royal. JD. Look, Royale.
I gotta make sure John watched this episode.
How about, I used to call JD JB and finally said Mike J. If you don't start calling it's JD. I said, well, I thought people were saying JB.
That's funny.
But I even connected them.
That's funny.
And so for some of the people who were able to go back and do that,
right?
But it's harder to get them to go back down to that country.
True. Now let me.
I didn't go to. You done sent me to North Jersey to get a degree or the Temple,
and I done got a taste of city life.
Right. I'm not going back there. I'll tell you. Let's run this back real quick. Let's run through when you started teaching. You said your first job as a teacher was Coopers Point.
Alternate route, 5th grade, Coopers Point.
What year was that?
Fall 2001.
Okay. And then what was next?
Did that for a couple of years, and they moved me to middle school.
Okay.
And then I needed a change. I said I needed a change. And the great, some people may know Miss Pat Kenny. She was the middle school, East Camden Middle principal. She was probably the principal for almost 20 years. Okay. And she took over East Middle. If you ever heard horror stories of what East Middle used to be like at one time, East Middle was on the most dangerous schools list in the state of New Jersey. And Miss Kenny, strong woman, went in there and took over. And here's what's funny is when I was getting transferred to East Middle, people were like, "You want to go to East Middle? What's wrong with you? You lost your mind. You going over to East Middle?" And I went to East Middle, and this is a testimony to strong black women, right? And not listening to what outsiders have to say. I'm walking in there, and it's like my second day, or not my first day, and I'm looking at my schedule, like when my prep is or my break, and I'm walking down. I walked by the cafeteria, and I didn't hear anything. And I said, I done messed up. I said, it's not so-and-so period. And I started running. I ran up to my classroom, and there was no class there. So I said to somebody, isn't it like 7th grade lunch? They said, yeah. I said, well, what? I go back downstairs, and I looked in the cafeteria. It was a cafeteria full of students. You know what they were doing?
Wow.
Lie to you not.
Wow.
At East Middle, lunch was a whole period. Kids don't need 40 minutes to eat.
Right.
They ate for the first half of lunch. And this was like 2006, 2007. They ate for the first half of lunch. And Miss Kenny said, you better bring a book to lunch. Kids would be like, I need a book. Somebody just give me something.
I need a book.
And the second half of lunch,
they're sitting there reading.
You could hear a mouse crying if you, they were. And I said, wow. I said, how did she? Because I didn't know her yet. I still didn't know.
Right.
But she was a staple in East Camden. Miss Kenny would send kids home, and the parents wouldn't even. They'd be like, "Okay, Miss Kenny." Miss Kenny would deliver the books.
Right.
Just want you to know he's suspended. But went from there and stayed there. And then 1 year, went to the New Morgan Village. The first year under DeVita Co. Was under DeVita Co. And it was funny because prior to that, it was weird because I was a black male literacy coach. So one of the things that I used to kind of do was like train some of the other teachers, throughout the district and things of that nature. And so people had gotten familiar with me. And DeVita Co, when I got there, she said, "Mr. Jefferson, I heard about you." She said, "Glad to have you." And I had a good time that year. And that's when I went to Camden County Tech. I went into administration. Went to Camden County Tech for 2 years. I will not call it DeVokie. It is not DeVokie anymore. People, there used to be a time that, people used to kind of get on, you going to DeVokie? You going to DeVokie? Now people are breaking their necks to get into tech schools.
CTA,
man.
CTA.
They got they have the engineering program. They have, when I was there, they had a medical program.
So which campus were you in, Pennsauken or?
Gloucester Township. We had a group of kids, their first 3 years, they graduated. Their senior year, they just came to school, ate breakfast, and got on a bus and went to Camden County College. Their whole senior year, they were taking college credits their whole senior year.
It's big.
So when you look at, that dual credit. So,
huge.
And then left there, and now I'm administrator, assistant principal, been a supervisor in Collingswood, and this is my 10th year there.
That's 10? It's been 10?
This is 10.
Wow.
It's been 10, man. I'm going to tell you, they pay APs well. I gotta think sometimes, it's tough.
10 years, wow. Oh, sis. Shout out to my sister, she a new principal out there. What's it, Sharp Elementary, you know what I'm saying? So I hear y'all get paid well.
I know that. I heard that part. This is
we got coming up?
My birthday.
Tracy's birthday. What I got coming up? Christmas, I guess, is my next. You know what I'm saying? Yes, sis.
We might have a Cousin's Day in there somewhere.
You know what I'm saying? Yes, sis.
You can bring the food.
Yes, sis.
And what I mean by that is some districts, the gap between the AP and the principal is large. And in some districts, it's not.
It's not as big.
So you can I've had people kind of say, "Hey, we're looking for a principal," and I mean people in the district who have some. Right. And when they're going, "Well, what are you?" and I'm like, it's hard to take a cut.
Right.
It's like people in corrections say, you make more money being a corrections officer than sergeant. You lose money when you jump, you jump to sergeant, and then if they say it picks back up maybe when they become a lieutenant because they can't do the over. I don't know what it is, but
I got you.
And it's like sometimes you start getting to that point of it's got to really be something that you. Right. God bless the elementary. God bless your sister with the babies.
Yeah.
Ooh, God bless that.
That's what you said.
Tracy, you got babies. So you're pre-K to 8th. The crying first thing in the morning.
The crying.
It ain't the crying. It's just the always wanting a hug from me.
It's somebody want to look like Roscoe.
And it's crazy because listen, it's two little girls loving to death. They stand at my door on their way to their class
and wait for you.
I'm like, oh, okay. It's from copping to teacher. Well, not teacher. I'm not a teacher. No. But from being a cop to school, I wasn't a hugger. I hug everybody now.
Bring it in. Everybody, bring it in.
Bring it in. You need a hug. I walk in the teacher's lounge. I'm like, you like you need a hug. I'm hugging everybody. Come on, bring it. Elementary will do that to you. Elementary make you check yourself at the door quick.
You know what I'm saying? Now let me ask you this: what's a way you think? Because there's a shortage of teachers. That's why we're bringing alternative route backs. Districts are bringing alternative route back, things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? I know in Pennsauken district, they're starting their teachers off a little more. You know what I'm saying, on that scale or whatnot. Is it just a money thing? That it's a shortage of teachers, or just not, as you say, it's just not sexy?
It's
you know what I'm saying?
Because here's the thing. Think about you guys. Think about you teachers. And hear me out. I say this all the time and people don't understand. I was a working mother. I worked various shifts. I would get off from work at 7 in the morning. 8 in the morning. I would wake my kids up. I would feed them breakfast. I would send them to school. I would sleep all day. I would pick them up at 3. If they had after school activities, by the time they got home, it was 6, 7 o'clock. I would feed them dinner, get them ready for bed, and I would go to work. I spent 3 hours possible within a day with my children. Their teachers spent 7 hours with my kids, maybe 8. And then the coach spent another 3.
Right.
So that's 10 hours in possibly a 12-hour day that your kids are awake, or maybe 14-hour day. 10 of that is spent with an educator. You guys mold. You guys set the stage for what your child can be or not be. So teachers need to know that what you say, the energy you impose, y'all are powerful. So it ain't sexy. Because guess what? Right or wrong, y'all control how that kid develops. Although y'all didn't give birth to him. Y'all got 20 kids in y'all class that you can say one thing that scarred them for the rest of their life, and they may not be the best person they can be. But then you got that one thing you may say that'll make them flourish and be the best person ever.
True.
That's a lot of power for a person. So no, teaching ain't sexy.
Right.
Because you really can't have a bad day. In 180 days, y'all really can't have a bad day. Y'all got to come in here every day and be the best person you can be, the best version of yourself. That's hard. So yeah, teaching ain't sexy. I'm sorry. Now, are there some sexy teachers?
Oh, there we go. I'm just going to say thank you. Appreciate that, cuz.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that, cuz.
Okay. How did you get into real estate?
Yeah.
Aaron Burt.
You know what's funny? I saw before you finish what you're about to say, when I was doing my research, when I pulled up the Exit Realty and they had all of you on there, I was like, oh, Aaron there. It was you, Eric Burrell, in the squad. Yeah.
So Eric and Aaron Burt in one day back when Troy Archie had the firehouse.
Okay.
Oh, classic.
The classic.
Remember
classic
happy hour. These people don't know it, man. We had classic.
I think that's what Vic was trying to be a sports agent, right? Yeah.
And Vic would have people from Temple that he went with. Oh, man, it was some good times.
That was classic.
They would want $5 to get in. I felt like we were stealing. That's it.
That's it.
But we were at the firehouse one time after work, and Aaron, was a teacher. He said, he leaned across the table. You know how Orlando.
Yeah.
You need to be a real estate agent. He said, you're going to need, if you think this money, and that was all he needed to tell me, like the next week.
Bang, get it.
I was in real estate. So
now, how long you been doing that?
I think it's probably been 17 now.
17.
17 years.
Yeah. You know, Aaron just got a VP spot at Cherry Hill West.
You know what's so funny?
Shouts out to Aaron. Aaron Burt.
He came in the barbershop the other day, and he kind of gets his haircut sometimes after me, total perfection, and he had a tie on. And I said, "Oh, Burt,
he came up.
The tie. Times have changed now. Things are a little more left. All those days when we were wearing ties and things. When Burt walked in with the tie on, I said, "Oh, Burt done went back into administration."
Yeah, he's over at Cherry Hill West doing this thing. You know what I'm saying? Let me ask you this real quick. These charter schools that are popping up all over the place, is Mastery considered a charter school?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. What's your take on that? I'm just, working in the public school setting. You know what I'm saying? That's all I've known is the public school setting. And I'm going to ask you that too. After,
that's a slippery slope.
Yeah. What's your take on that? What's your take on that?
It is a slippery slope. Some people equate how nice something looks to
new and shiny.
It's good.
Right.
I'll tell you this. Some people think, I always said this back in the day, some of the sharpest dressing principals were some of the worst. But to parents, they like, oh, she's sharp.
Right.
Oh, he's sharp.
Right.
Some of the sharpest dressing are the worst. They don't see that now. Staff members can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Staff members are going to look at two things. They're going to look at your integrity and your competency. Right? Do you have integrity, and are you competent?
Right.
Do you have the background information, the knowledge to do the job? They don't care how sharp you are.
Right.
And so that's the same thing with some of these charter schools. As people go in and they put this money in them, and you as parents they walk in and go,
around like, yeah, right, this is nice. Right.
And if you look in some of the classrooms, if you sat in some, you're like, but you don't know that.
Right.
You don't know that.
Right. And that's kind of like my take. And then Tracy, I'm gonna ask you that same question because like their teachers don't have to be certified. and stuff like that, right? And most of these charter schools, right?
Like
you don't
have to
have.
I know somebody in Philadelphia who's like a dean or something, and has no type of educational degree.
I know some. I know people.
I'm like, what? They charter school. They just taking people and like, you want to do this? We're gonna have you do this.
Right. Yeah. That's I mean, I'm all about education for everybody, but when they cut those corners and you don't have the right certified people, the right competent people, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know. What you think? I know.
So my children are products of Camden Promise. My 29-year-old went there for middle school, and my granddaughter goes there. She went there since kindergarten.
That's one of the first.
Yes, but listen, let me explain to you. I also worked there. I worked there as security. Well, they called us mentors. I worked there for a lot of years. I like that school because they don't have to keep you there. And what I mean by that is this. They put rules in place. You don't follow them, you're gone.
Right.
I come from a parochial background.
Gotcha.
I'm into uniforms. I'm into structure. I'm into the lack of disruption in classrooms. You disrupt, you gotta go. And being a disciplinarian, that's who I am. I like that for my kids, and it makes learning easier for my kids. But I send them there at young to put it in them. I remember my daughter had a planner, and the planner had to be filled. My 29-year-old.
She got a planner. She was in
Camden Promise.
Okay.
She got a planner. The teachers made sure the homework was in the planner. You knew what the day was like, and it went back and forth between me. And if the kid did something, the teacher would write it in the planner. Gotcha. And you had communication, constant communication. My daughter's 29 years old. She'll be 30. You walk in her office, and I guarantee you what you'll see on her desk is a planner.
Yep.
It's something, and I tried to bring that to the school I was at, and hold on, I was told that was too much. It's too much, too much requirement, but it was structured. My daughter has structured study time, structured learning time. My grandbaby structured, and now, but they don't do high school for charter, because high school for me is more about, you got the foundation on how to learn how to do. Now it's about social. Now we social. So you got to learn how to be around others. Now all my kids went to public high school. Let's be clear about that. They all of them graduated from the public high school of their liking. Right. So, but I just know at a younger age, when you're trying to build and mold, like all my kids went to ECDC, which is Camden Public School.
Right.
When they're young, they got that. Then I transferred them into Primus.
Right.
And now 8th grade's coming upon them, and then they went to...
But Primus isn't watered down. Primus was one of the first.
Conway don't play.
So Primus, you talk down River Road, right?
Yeah, Conway don't play.
Ain't that where Gene, right?
Yep.
Okay, so listen. Me and Gene Brown were communications majors at Rowan.
Rowan, I'm sorry.
We in the record, in the radio studio, and both didn't tell each other, I'm gonna go alternate route. Went to take the alternate route test down at Stockton. I walked into this big auditorium. Who's sitting in the back? Gene. We looked at each other and both started cracking up. So my first year at Cooper's Point was Gene's first year
at Promise.
But Camden Promise didn't have to water. They were one of the first to do it.
Right.
We're not necessarily some of those more staples that we're doing it. And like you said, you don't, then you're out of here.
No, right.
That was before it became big business.
Right. It's big business now. It's big business now.
It wasn't big business.
Because I do know teachers that worked at Camden Promise. And when they initially got in, they didn't have their teacher cert. But Conway and Helmbrecht was on top of them, and they ended up with the certs before, you know what I mean?
Right.
He gave them an opportunity. Your foot is in the door, but you got to finish up.
You got to finish, right.
You got to finish
that's
up.
Important.
And I am all about public school. Don't get me wrong. I'm all about public school. I'm really, really all about public school. People was asking me whose children graduated from Forest Hill. They didn't want to send their kids to Morgan Village, because Morgan Village has never had the best rep, even when I was a kid. You understand what I'm saying? So I was like, bring them to Cooper's Point. We bring them here, bring them on, because I'm all about, and I know they're going to get what they need.
Right.
Well, when I was at Cooper's Point, it was truly the magnet school of the district.
Okay.
There was a woman by the name of Annie B. Rubin. She was from North Philly. She came over the bridge every day. And when I first went into her office, she had a newspaper article in a frame. And I said, oh, that's cute. Miss Rubin got an article in Courier Post in front of her school. I was like, okay. And I looked a little closer. It said LA Times. Oh. Right? She had an article from the LA Times. Hillary Clinton wrote a book about education and wrote about Cooper's Point and Annie B. Rubin because Cooper's Point was the first public inner city school in the country that was mandatory school uniforms in all of the United States. Wow. Not charter, not Catholic, the first public school.
And then Cream followed suit, Miss Wyatt.
And then her and
Miss Rubin was good friends.
Were great friends. They were good friends.
And then that's my thing. My kids went to Cream. I took my kids out of parochial school and put them in Cream because Miss Wyatt, it was structured. The teachers were structured. Everything was structured. Like, I'm about structure. People always ask, how was you able to raise your kids to be great kids and you worked all them shifts? I mean, as a snake, and I'm a structured, and I needed the village, and my village got to be structured and disciplined. You understand what I'm saying? I pride myself on discipline and structure, and you need that in education. You definitely need that in education.
Ms. Wyatt was great. She was my principal when I was at Bonsall.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a big component of public school. I am, but I'm also a component for you have to place your kids' environment that best suits them.
True.
And every kid is different.
True. And every kid is different. True. And that's and then to our parents out there listening, Tracy's going to do her due diligence to make sure I don't care if it's a public school, charter school, parochial school, home school. You know what I'm saying? She's going to do her due diligence to make sure everything is going how she needs it to go, from the structure to the content to the teachers to the people to everything. I don't care what type of school it is. You know what I'm saying? And we need more parents to do that, because a lot of parents, like you said, see the brand new building with the shiny and all that. Just send them in there.
They don't know the curriculum. They don't know if it's state requirement. They don't know. Like,
exactly.
And listen,
that's
here's
what
the thing, and I'm here to tell you, any of these
parents
parents out here watching, I will tell you this, and my leadership team at Cooper's Point hates when I say this. I ain't got no degree. They hate when I say that. Right. Because they say everything I've done, all my work, all my experience.
People to know that.
Yeah, but I want people to know that, because it doesn't change.
You don't have to have a degree to do that.
You to do your due diligence.
Right.
Check the state curriculum. Make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. Some of these folks in these schools got background, that's your info. Title I gives you the right as a parent to pull up people's credentials. Title I gives you that power. I want to know what this teacher, what her degree is in. I want to know if he got a criminal background. I want to know how he got this job. I want to. Title I gives you that. And I try to tell these parents all the time when I have my meetings, my parent meetings, listen, you can get any information you need about the person standing in front of your child, because I will say it again, teachers mold our kids. Teachers are the first people our children learn from. They pick up their teachers' habits. I remember my kids saying to me, my oldest daughter, she works at Creative Arts, and she said, you know, out of all the degrees I got, I really liked working in the school, because I remember when Coach Avis and Aunt Keisha and all of them used to dress up in their blue and white, and they would accent, and they wore the shoes. I wanted to be that image. Like, I looked at them and said, they're strong black women. That's what I want to be. And when kids look at me, I want them to see that. You know what I mean? I want their eyes to glow when they see Miss Hall.
But you know what? Where did it seemed like at some point it changed, Trace. The exemplar. So when you used to look like that, they wanted that. Where did it change to looking like that? The exemplar, like, man, I don't want that. Because I don't want to be.
Yeah.
Because you know what y'all, you know who y'all are? And I'm going to keep it 100. Y'all know who y'all are? Y'all the corny dudes. So now society doesn't make education sexy. Right. It doesn't make a young man want to be. And then not only that, it's a lot of other things that they see when they see some of the educators, and it doesn't make it desirable for a young man to look like that. Little baby and all of those is desirable.
Right. And that goes back to, I tell you, with my connection, I didn't have my pants sagging.
Right.
But the fact that you just saw me in some J's,
right, said
was close enough.
Right.
It was a close enough exemplar to say,
to intrigue,
you can
that,
go
like,
get a degree,
right, and still
you know,
wear some J's.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's my thing for me. I don't completely dress up because I always my footwear, because kids notice that. Oh, Miss Hall, okay? You got that? Oh, Miss Hall, you got that? And it becomes a conversational piece, and they trust you a little more. You know what I mean? So my thing is society has changed what the kids want to see to make them relate to you and to make them receive what you're giving.
Right, true.
You understand what I'm saying? It's systematic where a kid now feels like you don't understand me if you don't look like me.
True.
If you ain't rocking a hoodie or a t-shirt, you don't understand me. So why should I listen to what you're saying?
Right.
But that's a systemic thing.
That's why I said the exemplar. Right. What is the example? You know? And there's power in that.
But I can't. But this newer generation, they don't see suit and ties. They don't see them on TV. They don't see them on they don't
see. As a communications major, don't go there on me. Like the TV thing bothers me.
Yeah.
Now think about it. Every newscaster you see got sneakers on with a suit.
Well, we've become a society. I always say two things. One, we've become a society of offense takers. Everybody takes offense easily. It's like they're talking about
right.
And number two, it's an argumentative society. Look at ESPN. Look at the sports talk shows. And that came from housewives. What's attractive to the younger generations is arguing,
controversy,
dissent, arguing, right?
Going back and forth.
Yeah, right. Even like you're starting to hear older people, certain ages, like don't even like ESPN anymore. Like I don't want to sit and hear y'all
and go back
arguing
back.
It's just all day long.
So and so you know, and this is what our kids see. So this is what, you know, I tell you, sit up. Why?
Right there. Well, what was your favorite? What was your favorite black TV show?
Ooh, of all time type situation.
Of all time,
I probably got to go with the Cosby's. I probably gotta go with the Cosby's.
That would be my 1B, but I love the Different World.
Different World was good too. That was good.
Older when Different World
that was
different. I wasn't. I was a little younger than y'all. I was, I'm a little. I was in high school. I
caught the shade.
I was in high school.
Okay, well, there you have it. This episode is.
What just happened here?
I caught the shade. Don't worry. I got the power of the edit button. I'm going to make it sound like we called him old.
Right.
But a Different World was like.
Nah, I like Different World. No. Because that was right when. Nah, that was
right after.
I think I was still in college then.
Yeah,
when Different World came out.
I should have had better grades.
Right.
In our day, assessments were always given on Fridays.
Right.
Every class you get a test on Friday.
Yep, true.
Cosby Show came on at 8. I came home from football practice. You know what I mean? Whatever. Ate dinner. Cosby Show, Different World. Nothing was getting done.
Yeah.
But you know what? But you know what Cosby did for me?
I did like Different World was good.
Cosby did for me is because I knew Big Coach Bird existed and what that household looked like. Mm-hmm. I knew what our household looked like. I knew what my girlfriend's household looks like. Mm-hmm. They were dual parents who really had jobs. Like one of my girlfriend's dad, he worked at Campbell Soup. He was like a supervisor at Campbell Soup, but mom worked at the hospital. She worked at Lourdes. Like those people existed because prior to that, what we saw on TV, that type of family didn't exist.
Right.
And people laugh when I said Thursday nights in Hall House, in Frank Hall's house, was family night. Family night, even when my brother and sister got older, started dating, bring the girlfriend, boyfriend over because we're going to play Trivial Pursuit. We're going to talk about what's on the news. We're going to play card games.
You know they did a study on crime on Thursday nights over the years at the Cosby Show in neighborhoods and how
because we wasn't doing them. We was inside.
The crime rate, and this was like for over a decade, was lower on Thursday nights when the Cosby.
Because they made us have pride in just being because we existed. They tried to say that the black family unit didn't exist. It didn't exist, but we really still did. It's crazy that I say this, but my core friends that I grew up with, my real core friends. We all came from dual parent households. Right. Like I met my first friend from a single parent home after I was copping.
But what else did the Cosby Show show you in Heathcliff Huxtable? He showed you, it's that word right now, one of my favorite authors, Brene Brown.
Okay.
Female, I'm going to tell you, if you are a reader and you have not read anything from Brene Brown, I urge you. But anyway, vulnerability.
Right.
Because black fathers they in those times they grew up feeling like they had to do this. You know, dad's not approachable. Dad doesn't laugh. Dad doesn't play. He sits in his chair. So Heathcliff Huxtable brought vulnerability. Do you know how many males Heathcliff Huxtable taught how to be a father?
Right.
Nah,
but see, but for somebody like us, and I'm just going to use us, and we're not the only example, that was already going on in our household. So to see it play out on TV now, because my friends used to be like, yo, Mr. Frank funny. Like, I like going Mr. Frank. Now, mind you, my dad was 6'4", 200 plus. He was a big joker. But he always had a joke for you. And he'd sit down, like, I remember him telling Stacy, he was talking to Stacy Threadgill, God rest his soul. Stacy was like, yo, I love her, Uncle Frank. My dad said, boy, you always loving on these girls. You have a bunch of kids. Needless to say, he had a bunch of kids. But, you know, but he would talk to my dad. Like, my dad would, but it was really happening in our household. So see it play out on TV, it brought pride. Like, it was okay to say, because you know, you get some parents like, yo, she bougie, she came from a dual parent house. This was after I became an adult. Right. Because I don't know what I came from a dual parent household, and we went to church together. And at 5:30 when my dad came home, we ate dinner at the table. And we talked about what happened in school. And we discussed it.
Well, you know, bringing that up, one time I remember 2000s, I said, I don't know what made me do this day. I said, how many of you have ever been to church? Raise your hand. And I think maybe if there were 25 kids in a class, maybe like 9 hands went up, maybe 10. I remember saying there was a time, been to, I didn't say go to. Been to. And that spiritual aspect, I don't care if it's Christian, I don't care if it's Muslim, I don't care what it is. The spiritual aspect of a child being raised knowing that God is watching. Forget what my mom and dad is one thing, but we have to get beyond, or the people in the community, because when you approach it from that aspect, the minute that a child says they're not watching and the minute that a child thinks what they don't know won't hurt them, they're going to go and do it. The spiritual aspect in a child of God is watching. Remember your parents, I don't care if I'm not around, God is watching. Right?
Yes, indeed.
You would really go to do something like I think we forget.
That's true.
We forget about and listen, I'm at fault. I get to wake up on Sundays like
it's football Sunday.
Then I get to stream it.
Right.
Stream Victory in Christ out of Bedford. I'm going to stream it today.
And that's crazy because we used to have a Sunday once a month date for Victory in Christ, and we went one time.
And you know how many people are in that church now? That church, man. This pastor's different.
Okay.
All that traditional. No, he's up there, button up. Half white, half. You know what I mean? His mom is white. He's from Willenboro.
Okay.
But man, Tracy will tell you it's different, man.
That's what's up.
You just start seeing more people.
But you just brought in a word, because once we stop bringing any form of spirituality or any type of spirituality into the homes is when everything started. Because I tell him all the time, I said, man, when that day the Lord called me home, that video that he's going to play, Jesus, Lord. Like, I got to get my story right, because my mom is up there, Pop's up there, grandma, they looking like, I'm going to be like, listen, can they take a step to the side? Because from 2004 maybe to 2007, I might got some stuff, I'm sure.
But you know what's true, Tracy? It's so funny because God bless her, Keisha. I remember Keisha's funeral, and I was up in the balcony, and a song, they started to sing a song, and I remember you were one of the first people, because I was looking down on you, and you stood up, right? Like,
see, don't do that, because people don't know I know the Lord. Don't do
that.
People
they
don't
know.
They don't know.
And you were the first person. You was like, it's not. This is not cute. And you stood up, and you got to rocking with you, and then more people started getting up. Right, I'll never forget that. And it's like, that's a whole different, to see a man.
Right.
I'll go to church, and don't get me wrong, the night before I was like, give me another round. God knows me and my struggles.
Right.
I can go to church and say hallelujah.
Right. I can
do that.
I got you.
Easily. And I don't care who's watching.
Right. I got you. I definitely got you. So, future plans before we wrap this up. What you thinking about?
Ooh,
his
tough,
future
man.
plans to sell me a house. He talks about it all the time.
I'm going to do that until I'm 80. Somebody's going to say, Mike J.
Still selling houses?
Well, did he talk to the other?
He always said, he'd be like, first of all, he'd be in my pockets. You bring home about, and I'd be like, yo, Mike, my credit ain't right. He said, no, we can work on that because you bring home. Like, why is you in my pocket? No, this is my homeboy. I've been knowing Mike over 20 years.
Right.
He had to carry the one.
You right.
Mike, why is you in my pocket?
He getting you right.
Yeah. So I don't know. My family is working on some projects now.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you, I love Collingswood.
Okay.
I love going to the towers, the historic. I love. What's going on. You know what?
Right.
I'll on my lunch break go to Acme, get a bag of groceries, go up them. You ever been in them tower elevators? Uh-huh. Go up that elevator. That elevator's like good times. Remember the good times?
Good times.
The towers in Collingswood has converted to Northgate.
Yo,
yes.
I enjoy Collingswood. I enjoy working with white kids who have never had a conversation with a black male until Mr. Jefferson.
Gotcha.
So Mr. Jefferson is showing them that all of that rhetoric that I see on TV about black people and black males is not correct, because when I go to school every day and I interact with Mr. Jefferson, that's not what. So I enjoy that. It'll take something very intriguing to remove me from that in education.
Gotcha.
What educational year is this for you? I'm sorry.
23. And there's some business things I'm looking into. With working with my family. I have an aunt who is a licensed processor and grower wheat. I'm from the country. We have a 27-acre farm.
Did you say growing wheat?
Grower.
Oh, grower.
Cannabis. She is a licensed.
Okay.
And
grower.
we have a 27-acre farm back at home that we've been licensed, and we're currently putting up some greenhouses. And also building a facility. But we have developed an apprentice program, a state apprentice program, a recidivism program. We have a state licensed recidivism program. We're getting ready to build houses for returning citizens, and when we put them in these small quarters that they get to live on their own, we're also going to be getting them certified in trades, because that aunt, she owns a construction company. She actually built the Miami Marlins baseball stadium.
Oh wow!
So she flies back and forth from Miami. Miami. She's successful to Jersey. So she's taking those same trades that she did the heating, the HVAC in the Miami Heat basketball stadium. So we're gonna be bringing these returning citizens home, building some trades with them. So there are some other things that I if I feel like financially don't take a setback.
Gotcha.
And if I don't know, like I said, I'm with education. If something new, that's a new challenge, then I'll accept it. But other than that, we like to say, we don't like to trust it, but we say where God leads us. Because God says, I want you to go left. You're like, man, look, I want to go right. He's like, no, I said, you're like, I want to go right. All right, go right.
Go right, see what happens.
He let you go. So we'll see.
That's what's up.
God's plan for God's people, and all y'all single ladies out there that watch us, y'all parents of the athletes, he is not available.
Okay.
I'm clearing that up right now, because he just said some things about finance and money. You look real sexy over there.
Okay, put out his resume. His resume look good. His resume look good.
Since I got you, ain't available.
Well, on that note, any shout outs or anything you want to? You better shout somebody out on that note.
Oh man, shout out! My partners with Park. Providing alternative resources for kids, Minute, Glenn Jackson, Russ Cook, all of those guys, Pierre, Craig, and Mel, Robert Atwell. We got a fish fry coming up October 8th. It's going to be in Camden High Park. Okay. Milestone Catering will have the games on TV, so you can come and buy your fish platter and just... Shout out, man! Just definitely downtown Stevens Street. Those individuals who why I even, came around here, and those individuals, who kept saying, "Listen, Stop telling people you're not from Camden. Stop telling them from Bristol. We know you don't want to, you're not in here trying to be some, we don't want people to accuse you of, but stop doing that, man. Somebody, shout out to my peoples back home in Bristol and Millville, shout out to the small towns. I always tell people, the Salems, the Pensgroves, the Bridgetons, the Millvilles, we have kids there who are struggling and in need too, and they get overlooked.
Right.
The Camdens, the state and the fun, they go and build the Boys and Girls Clubs.
Right.
They go and do those things. That kid in Salem, man, that kid in Bristol, he's dodging bullets. He's hungry, and he's dealing with poverty and crime, just like that Camden kid is, just like that North Philly is. So just shout out those people, and my man John Fuqua back in Bristol, who, man, he's doing big things, and man, just say a prayer for us, and for yourself. Keep your head up, everybody. It's tough, but we making it.
We're making it. You know what I'm saying? Well, we definitely appreciate you taking some
sir.
time out. You know what I'm saying?
You,
real quick, tell them where they can find you at, social media wise, for your real estate, everything, all that stuff.
_ Slick Professor. No connotation to that. I'm an honest guy. Nothing slick about me. Don't take that negative connotation. And just Mike Jefferson on Facebook.
That's what's up. That's what. And they can find your real estate stuff there too.
Yes. Exit Realty.
Exit
Just
Realty.
Google Mike Jefferson, Exit Realty. I've been doing this a while.
There we go. Well, again, appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? Thank you. This was fun. This was a good one, especially because we're all. And don't say it. We're all educators. You know what I'm saying? Because so quick to say, I'm a teacher. I don't have any degree. Shut up. This was fun. You know what I'm saying? Little educational talk. You know what I'm saying? So we definitely appreciate that. I just want to shout my sister out again. You know what I'm saying? On her new journey. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
I know she'll be fine.
Camila.
You know what I'm saying? She'll be fine. She built for it. You know what I'm saying? I want to say rest in peace to Dr. Dawson.
Oh man!
Speaking of my 30 years of being a teacher, he's the reason why I'm sitting here able to say that this is my 30th year being a teacher. You know what I'm saying? Because I had no idea what I was going to do until my dad said, yo, you got an interview tomorrow, get your suit out. I'm like, I didn't apply for anything. In my mind, I wouldn't say that to him. So I was like, all right, cool. So we go, he's like, all right, I'm going to come with you. I'm like, my dad coming with me to the interview.
Right.
Then we pull up to the Central Board of Education office, and I'm like, he's like, yeah, we're here to see Dr. Dawson. So they don't have human resource department that do the interviews. Now we're sitting in Dr. Dawson's office. I was in that office, I swear, for like maybe 15 minutes. Got kicked out because they childhood friends and whatnot. They in there laughing, joking, have a good time. He comes out, so I'm like, I don't say much. So a couple of weeks going by because this is like into August. School's towards the end of August. School's about to start. So I'm like, how'd that interview go? He's like, oh yeah, you got the job. He gave me some number to call, and here I am 30 years later. You know what I'm saying? So rest in peace to Dr. Dawson, man.
To
Dr. Dawson, prayers to the family, the whole family, and the whole nine. Lost a tough one. This airs on Saturday. We taped this on Saturday, airs on Mondays, but Pensacola, we lost to Wilson or Camden East Side, 14-6. It was a good game, triple overtime. You know what I'm saying? The kids played their hearts out. You know what I'm saying? So it was a good games.
Shout out Coach
as
Chad,
far as
my Rowan alum.
there you go.
Alum.
You know what I'm saying? And one thing before I hand this over to the close over here to close this thing out, I'm just going to need these parents to just relax in these stands. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody has opinions, everybody has comments, things of that nature, but when they get negative and you're shouting it out to where everybody can hear it, these kids hear it too. That was a damn good game. You know what I'm saying? Right. You might not agree with what coaches were doing as far as game plan and all that type stuff, but these kids is out here playing their hearts out, playing as hard as they can, going as hard as they can, and we don't just need those. Just watch what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? That's all I got to say, man. Just parents, relax. You know what I'm saying? Just relax, calm down. You know what I'm saying? And just watch your negative thoughts. I don't care about your opinions of me because I'm a grown up and I can take it, but we're talking about 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids. You know what I'm saying? Right. Just relax.
So thank you, Mike, for showing up. We appreciate you here at the Birdcage. Thank you for all of those that watch. We appreciate you. Again, great job yesterday, Coach Bird. I know it's a tough loss. My boy Willie Love, Eastside High. I ain't gonna say no more. Cam the High won yesterday.
Yes, it did.
Cam the High did one. It was some craziness, madness that happened.
Yes, it was.
We'll save that for another show. But congratulations to Coach Henson. Cam the High did win yesterday. I'm going to close out by saying this. September is National Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month. Kindness goes a long way. It does not cost a thing to smile and ask someone how their day is doing and to be an ear. Also, too, I want people to understand you're not always going to be everybody's cup of tea, but you damn sure may be somebody's shot of Henny. Always pride yourself in being who you are. Don't try to change who you are. You can modify who you are, but don't try to change who you are to appease anyone else, because at some point you can do all of that and they still not accept you for who you are. Work at being the best version of you can possibly be. Just know every day is not going to be a good day, but that does not mean that day doesn't have purpose. Put your best foot forward and just know God is watching. And like I say all the time, life is going to life. I'm here. You can reach out to me if you ever want to talk. I can send you to a resource. I can help you get through it, because trust and believe, I'm always struggling and I always got to pull myself up by the bootstraps, and I know what that feels like. So remember, stay positive and be kind.
I love you. That's why I love her. I almost cried over here. You know, I'm sensitive. I'm just about to oh my God. You know what I'm saying? But Mike J, once again,
thank you, sir.
My man,
you, sir.
appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? Episode 108.
Thanks for the 21. Looking to spend 21 more with you.
You know what I'm saying? Definitely. You know what I'm saying? Episode 108 is in the books. 108.
108.
Well, for our man Mike J, for my lovely cousin Tracy, once again, I am Sechuayo, aka Coach Bird, and I'm the host of the BYRDCAGE Show, and we'll talk to you soon. Yes, indeedy. Go.
It was a stone groove, my man.